How much protein do we actually need to maximize muscle growth? Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. This is one of those to where this has been studied and studied and studied ad nauseum to the point where there really isn't a debate anymore. And it turns out the answer is actually kind of between what bodybuilders and bodybuilding magazines recommended, who are again making money selling supplements, and kind of what scientists were recommending for the general non-lifting population. It's actually almost evenly between the two. Surprisingly enough, you take those two extremes, and then it turns out when you look at the data, the truth is somewhere between. All right. Historically, the RDA has been like whatever, 60 grams or something like that. 65 grams is what was needed for basic health. Okay, to be basically healthy and to not have a protein deficiency, that is what most humans should be consuming. Obviously, that varies a little bit based upon gender, body weight, stuff like that. All right. For years, the bodybuilding world, due to the supplement industry, was recommending is the standard 1 gram per pound of body weight, which is 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. And that was, even when later data started coming out showing like 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, people are like, well, I need a safety net, and that will give me that. And of course, keeping in mind there were then bodybuilders and coaches recommending double all of that. Now, the truth is, when you start digging into all the meta-analysis, all the data, what we consistently find is we don't find studies showing anything more than about 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight, causing any additional muscle protein synthesis, any extra muscle growth. And that includes in serious competitive bodybuilders, like Olympic weightlifters, who are literally at the Olympic level. There have been studies done on all of this, and surprisingly enough, those people oftentimes need less, than say the novice, a complete novice lifter. Funny enough, that's why some studies on those individuals have shown maximum muscle growth at like 1.2 grams per kilo. So that is literally like 120 grams a day for someone like me. I can't even imagine mine being that low, okay? Now, keeping in mind there are thermic effects and metabolic benefits and stuff sometimes to higher proteins as far as staying leaner, but if we are talking purely about muscle growth and muscle protein synthesis, yeah, it's lower than people think. But we've never seen studies showing real benefits going beyond about 1.6. And that's been very, very consistent. So again, context. Let's say you weigh 80 kilograms. What is that? How many pounds is that for my Americans who use freedom units? That's about 176 pounds. Well, what does that mean for protein? That means that we're talking about a 175-pound male, about 80 kilograms, or female, right? We're talking about 130 grams of protein. Okay, that's it. That's it. Now, and that's assuming most of it's coming from higher quality protein sources, but that is enough to maximize muscle growth. Now, I'm going to mention again in a bit, that doesn't mean there aren't benefits to going above that for satiety, thermic effect, metabolic benefits, leanness, okay? So we need to be clear on that. But if you're hitting those numbers, like if you're around that 1.5 to 1.6, you are well into the safe zone, okay? Anything you are consuming beyond that absolutely is purely for other metabolic benefits. It is not helping you gain more muscle. So we need to be clear when asking that question. Okay, is it contributing to muscle growth? And it makes sense because realistically, the human body is pretty good at recycling its protein pools. A lot of people are unaware of this, but your body routinely cycles through 300 to 400 grams of the protein in your body from its muscle tissue and organs and other stuff, breaks it down and recycles it as a pool on a 24-hour basis already. Okay, so put that in perspective, again, dealing with muscle damage, muscle breakdown, all this various stuff. That's kind of your pool it's working with every single day. So if we're talking about gaining small amounts of muscle, like even if you're a novice, what are you talking about, a kilogram of muscle per month? That's extreme. Very few people are gaining that, by the way. And once you've been lifting a little while, that is not going to happen. Okay, but how many grams That's 1,000 grams. Okay. Problem is a lot of that's water. So really, how many grams of protein? Like if you get a kilogram of meat, how many grams of protein is really in that? Maybe 200 to 230. Let's just call it 220, right? About 1 gram or 100 grams per pound of body weight, right? That's right about what we see. Right about what we see. Okay? So a kilogram, that's 220 grams. How much is that over 30 days? That's about 7.3. We'll round it up it's rounded up to 10 grams a day. You only need 10 extra grams of protein per day, in theory, of new protein to accrue this. All right? Does that make sense? That's why the number is lower than people think it's going to be. You're just not needing to add that much extra. Most of what you're taking in and a lot of that benefit is purely to reduce breakdown from your training. Okay, it is a protective measure, because otherwise, people will be asking the question, well, wait, if the RDA for basic health is whatever, like 60 grams, and you're only able to at most add, 10 grams or less of additional tissue protein, that should be like 70 grams a day, right? In theory, but the higher protein intakes do reduce breakdown, because then your body is utilizing some of that for things like protein metabolism and breakdown and tissue protein breakdown that goes up as a result of our training, all of those things. So when we understand that, it makes sense why that number is higher, particularly for more novice lifters and people who, number one, can gain muscle much more quickly, who, number two, their body isn't efficient yet at utilizing it as much for building new muscle tissue, and they're not as efficient at reducing breakdown. Whereas in more experienced lifters, this is why some of those studies occasionally show they can get away with a lot less. More experienced lifters, their bodies, when their training is on point, they don't always have as much muscle tissue breakdown due to training. Their body is also more efficient because it's had way more practice at building and repairing tissue proteins damaged from training and other stuff. It is more efficient at doing it. Therefore, they may need a little bit less. So really, when we talk about the upper end of that number, that is almost geared more towards novice lifters who are less efficient at it and can, quite frankly, gain more muscle. And the fact is, we have seen there have been pro bodybuilders in the past, like Olympia contenders who, actually I eat less than 200 grams a day and still place third at the Mr. Olympia. Okay, we've seen them. Everyone from Nasser El Sambate to Mike Minter. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.